Hello, how are you? Did you know that many people have low testosterone and don't even know it? And despite not knowing they have low testosterone, they already have those signs. Constant fatigue, lack of vigor, less energy in daily life, difficulty gaining or maintaining muscle mass, a drop in libido, slower muscle recovery. And this can happen in both men and women. This is a very important point, but we know that typically this is more related to people from 35, 40 years old. And then a very common question arises. People ask me, Patricia, is there any way we can further stimulate our natural testosterone production? Are there foods that can support this testosterone production in our body? So I'm going to tell you here today, yes, which foods can help you, and at the end, I'll tell you a way to combine them all in a delicious drink that you'll love. Stay until the end, you won't want to miss it. Before starting, I want to ask you, do you have the habit of measuring the testosterone hormone? Has it ever come back low? Is it normal usually? Do you do anything in your daily life or lifestyle or diet thinking about your testosterone? Write to me down here in the comments. If you can, go ahead and leave your like. This is super important for me here on the channel. This shows YouTube that you support and trust my content. And if you know someone who likes this subject, share this video already. Let's expand our chain of kindness. Testosterone is a very important hormone, right? And when we talk about testosterone, many people want to know how to increase testosterone. This is super important, but besides that, it's important that we don't block testosterone production in our body. Testosterone is often lowered. Its production in this nighttime period when the production peak normally happens by poor sleep, high stress, inflammation, glucose peak, excess insulin, or even an excess of cortisol at a time when it shouldn't be. In other words, it won't help if you eat well, do weight training, but you sabotage that hormonal environment that would make your secretion of testosterone happen on a daily basis. So, the ideal is that we can protect this natural testosterone production, especially at night during sleep, which is when we have a greater daily production of testosterone at that moment. So, I'm going to tell you now about foods that you can consume at the end of the day, at night, which can give you this interesting support precisely for this very important period. First on our list is pumpkin seed, and it's one of the best choices when we talk about endogenous testosterone production. So, it's not a fad or anything like that, it's just basic physiology. Pumpkin seed is naturally rich in 3 key components to stimulate testosterone production, which are zinc, magnesium, and also phytosterols. So let's understand exactly how each one works. Zinc. It is a key piece in the production of testosterone. It's one of the most important minerals when we think about testosterone. First, because it's directly involved in hormone synthesis in the male testes, in the regulation of the hormonal axis related to testosterone production, which is the hypothalamus, pituitary, and gonads, and in the proper conversion of sex hormones. So what has science already been able to determine for us? That zinc deficiency is associated with lower levels of testosterone, and that people with inadequate intake when they supplement with zinc restore this secretion to normal levels. In other words, zinc is not an artificial testosterone stimulant. In fact, it's an essential nutrient without which the body simply cannot produce testosterone in the proper way. And many people may have insufficient intake, especially if you eat little meat, if you don't consume oil seeds, if you have chronic stress, and if you have intestinal malabsorption. So, it's a nutrient closely related to testosterone, and as I told you, pumpkin seeds are an excellent source. By the way, pumpkin seeds are also a great source of magnesium, as I mentioned, and this magnesium is also closely related to endogenous testosterone production, and also another link, sleep. We know that testosterone doesn't just depend on production, it depends a lot on sleep, on that ideal moment of production, on that production schedule, especially deep sleep. Magnesium, we know it acts on muscle relaxation, on reducing the excitability of the nervous system, and on improving sleep quality. This is fundamental because most testosterone production happens during sleep. Many people don't know that. So, if a person sleeps poorly, wakes up many times during the night, those micro-awakenings, stays in an alert state, like waking up in the middle of the night to pee and not being able to go back to sleep, testosterone production drops, even with a seemingly good diet. So, in this sense, pumpkin seeds help because they have a very expressive, very significant amount of magnesium too. Pumpkin seeds also have phytosterols, which are closely associated with prostate health, in the case of men, and hormonal balance. They have a mild anti-inflammatory action, are associated with prostate health, help balance hormonal metabolism, and especially in men over 50 years old, we already know that the prostate deserves attention. Because these changes become more evident and the person may start to have benign prostatic hyperplasia. So it's indirect support and can help in this hormonal and metabolic context too. Many people say, oh, so I'll start eating pumpkin seeds all day to get results. No need to overdo it. Studies have already found that normally an amount around 1 tablespoon per day can already be quite interesting to help you, in a complementary way, meet the needs for these very important nutrients. The second food on our list is fenugreek, which really makes a very interesting difference, and there are already many studies linking it to testosterone production. So what does it do in our body? It basically has bioactive nutrients like steroidal saponins, which have an effect on glucose metabolism, insulin sensitivity, inflammation, and sexual function. We know that this can help create a more favorable metabolic environment for the action of sex hormones. And many people who have insulin resistance have difficulties in testosterone production, because one thing is counter-regulating the other. There's a video on the channel talking more about this too, big belly and lower testosterone. So, since fenugreek helps with this issue of insulin sensitivity and this metabolic issue itself, it can help. Besides that, there are many studies already making a correlation with libido and sexual function. The most consistent results in scientific literature are not just about the increase in total testosterone, but about libido, improved sexual function, subjective perception of this performance, of this sexual vigor. This is important because many men reporting low testosterone are actually struggling with this specific area. It's really important for overall health and male physiological well-being. So since it can act directly on this, more and more people have been trying to use it. Besides that, studies have already verified that fenugreek can increase free testosterone slightly, which is quite interesting, and also, very importantly, reduce the conversion of testosterone into other metabolites. That is, preserve more testosterone in the body. Normally, fenugreek is very interesting to use and gives a very good effect in men with insulin resistance, over 40, 50 years old, and with a more sedentary lifestyle, because they usually already have more excess weight, have this associated metabolic issue, insulin resistance, prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, so it can help a lot in this sense. I even have a video here on the channel talking more about fenugreek and diabetes, which has everything to do with this sense too. I'll leave it down here in the description. There are other foods that can also give an improvement in this testosterone issue. One of them is ginger, because it has an anti-inflammatory action, and we know that with less inflammation, we have better hormonal signaling in our body. It has gingerol and shogal, so it has this well-documented anti-inflammatory action. And we also know that when a person has a constant chronic inflammation, there's an increase in cortisol, worsening in hormonal signaling, and it can harm the responsive tissues to testosterone. So, ginger can be a very interesting option, even because of the issue of insulin sensitivity, which is related to ginger too, because of this issue of favoring this hormonal part related to insulin sensitivity as well. Another ingredient that many people don't know, but can help, is 100% cocoa. Cocoa comes in as a very interesting ally, especially in this nighttime period, because it has magnesium, once again, which I already told you about the importance for sleep and all that, and it has polyphenols, which help decrease oxidative stress, better hormonal signaling. So many antioxidant compounds there can have a beneficial effect regarding this tissue response to testosterone, to optimized function in that sense. Another food is cinnamon, which we already know has many studies correlating cinnamon consumption with improved metabolic health as well, because of this issue of glucose, insulin, testosterone, because it can help through cinnamaldehyde to improve this issue of insulin sensitivity, reduce glycemic peaks, stabilize blood glucose, so it ends up being a very interesting option too, and especially when we think about consuming it at night. Another point is to consider, at this time of night, adding some source of high biological value protein, because that helps with regard to nighttime testosterone production. We even know that during the night we have a peak of growth hormone, which stimulates the actual production of muscle cells in our body, and we know that muscle mass gain is closely related to increased testosterone, right? All of this is very much related in our body. Maintenance, preservation, increase of muscle tissue increases the body's signaling to stimulate more testosterone production. So, encouraging the consumption of healthy, lean, high biological value protein before bed is a good option. So whey protein would fit in great here at this time, and especially because since we'd add other ingredients here, like cocoa itself, which has fiber, pumpkin seeds, which have fiber, fenugreek, this would also help in that sense to further slow down the absorption of the whey, which already has a slightly slower absorption, thus making this infusion gradual throughout the night, favoring this metabolic environment more conducive to muscle growth and indirectly the improvement of testosterone as well. Let's think then about how to combine these foods in a tasty and practical way for everyday life. I believe the best option is to make a smoothie because we blend it, it's easy, fast, and a good time can be as a supplement to your dinner or in a snack you have at night. So you can add water to the smoothie as a base to even lower the calories, carbs, and all that, especially since lowering the carb peak at night will help your insulin, as you've noticed, and that will help your testosterone too. So in this water, you can add a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds, you can add fenugreek, a teaspoon of the seeds, and blend it together, which also works great. It's quite hard, but since we're making a juice, a smoothie, there's no problem at all. You can put a teaspoon of 100% cocoa and put a little ginger and cinnamon according to your needs. Usually, half a teaspoon, which is very little, is already more than enough. 1 scoop of whey protein, and I think vanilla works best in this regard. And then you can use either berries or avocado to complement the flavor, because once again, we don't want to cause an insulin peak at this time. So fruits with a lot of carbohydrates would be counterproductive in this sense. I think the best option is really berries, which go well, in fact, with all these flavors. And then you can blend it and drink it. And remember that obviously this is my suggestion, even for quantities and all, but correlated with scientific studies, with consensus. If you want an individualized prescription, if you're in doubt if these foods work well for you, the amount you should take, consult your doctor or your nutritionist in your city, especially if you already have any associated health issues, okay? Just one more tip is that when I tell you to take it at night, it's not to take it and lie down, because otherwise you'll end up waking up during the night to urinate. So the ideal is at least 1.5 hours, 2 hours before bed to make this smoothie for you to have a good night's sleep. Tell me then if you've already consumed some of these ingredients, if you're going to start incorporating them. I'll love to see your comment. Remember to leave a like on the video, it helps me a lot here on the channel, and share it with those who will like it and those who need it. Let's expand this chain of kindness together. That's what I want here with the channel. See you next time. Bye.